So remakes have been a very hot topic when it comes to the Sonic franchise, but has anyone ever thought about a Sonic Heroes remake? Would it be a good idea, and what would we like to see in it? Let's discuss right now. Hello there beautiful humans, my name is RidersDX and welcome to my channel where today we've got a pretty interesting topic today where we're talking about what's actually my very first Sonic game, which is Sonic Heroes. And so I've been making a lot of videos about Sonic Adventure in terms of whether or not we want to see a remake of it or if we want to see aspects of the adventure games be carried over to the brand new Sonic game. But I've been noticing a lot in the comment section that a lot of people are saying Sonic Heroes Remake or Sonic Heroes 2 might be a good idea as well. And this was surprising and also really heartwarming to me because Sonic Heroes is one of the most special games in my heart when it comes to the Sonic franchise, because it was the game that introduced me to Sonic and it was my favorite Sonic game for the longest time. Now I plan on making a long retrospective on Sonic Heroes itself because, as I mentioned before, I wanted to do some more retrospectives this year and Sonic is going to be the main focus of them, and Sonic Heroes is definitely on that list because it was my very first Sonic game and it was also my favorite for a very long time until recently. And so definitely subscribe to this channel if you want to be alerted whenever that video comes out. It's probably not going to be for a while, but definitely is in the plans right now. But for today's video, I want to kind of toss around the idea of what if we are not only asking for a Sonic Adventure remake, what if we're also asking for a Sonic Heroes remake? And would this be a good idea? And also what we would like to see in it. And so I think Sonic Heroes is a very interesting idea in terms of a remake because it is part of the adventure era, but it's also a game that sort of does its own thing, and there hasn't really been a game that's really done what Sonic Heroes has done since then, aside from weird spin-offs like Team Sonic Racing, for instance, which took a lot from Heroes. But if you really think about it, Heroes has left a very long-lasting impression on the franchise. I mean, what are the levels that are constantly being brought back in future Sonic games like Sonic Generations or all the Sonic Racing games, Seaside Hill, Casino Park, Final Fortress, and there's also constant references to Sonic Heroes in terms of its gameplay, its mechanics and such. And it's interesting that Sonic Heroes has become that game that so many games reference. Sonic Heroes itself is a very mixed bag and there's a lot of polarizing opinions when it comes to it. But I personally think that Sonic Heroes would be a very interesting game to revisit, and I also have a bunch of ideas of how you can make a remake even better than the original, because I'm not someone that would simply like to see a game remade from top to bottom, one to one with no changes. I'm someone that thinks that remakes are a great opportunity to revisit some ideas and make them more enjoyable, and that way you can bring a game to a modern audience and make it more beloved than before. It's a very tough thing to do, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of games that definitely have failed to do that, but I think it's a risk worth taking, especially for some games that are polarizing like Sonic Heroes. And so I have 10 things that I would love to add or change about Sonic Heroes in a remake, and so here is that list. Number one on my list is to shorten the teams besides Team Sonic, and so this might be a controversial thing to start out with, but one of the things about Sonic Heroes I've grown to dislike as I kept playing it is the fact that you have 4 teams that are basically going through the same exact campaign, same game mechanics, same levels, and nearly identical stage layouts aside from a few differences here and there or in terms of the chaotics, different objectives. Padding is a lot more scrutinized now than it was before. It's so much more obvious and people are much quicker to attack it than they were before, and so Sonic Heroes, if it came back with the same structure, it definitely would not be received lightly. I think it would be fine to just maybe cut some levels in all the different teams just to make sure you're decreasing that repetition and making it so that levels don't feel as tedious as you're going through them for maybe the 4th time. Like for example, some of Team Sonic and Team Dark's levels are nearly identical. I'm sure you can cut those out of Team Dark and maybe just make some other levels a little bit more, I don't know, interesting I guess, I'm not sure. But cutting down on the padding in Sonic Heroes is an immediate first step I would love to see a remake do, just to cut out that huge complaint about Sonic Heroes that pretty much everyone addresses. Number 2, if we're going to be cutting levels from different teams, you know what we should do then? We should expand upon the stories of all the teams as well, because Sonic Heroes was a very interesting interesting game to come out immediately after adventure games because it had so much less focus on the story. I mean, sure, it had its CGI cutscenes to just move the story along, but story was really a non-factor in this game, and you really didn't get to see the characters interact that much beyond their conversations within the levels themselves. But yet, Sonic Heroes had a lot of different story points that would have been interesting to see more fleshed out. I mean, Team Dark is an obvious example of that. It would have been interesting to see the conversations that were being had between Shadow, Rouge, and Omega, for instance. It also would have been cool to see, you know, why the Team Rose get to where they were, where Chocola and Froggy were lost. Like, what was happening beforehand? When was the last time they saw them? What clues are they finding throughout the journey? And also, it would have been interesting to see what Team Chaotix was constantly thinking about the missions that their client was giving them. I mean, the possibilities are endless, and there's so many ways you can expand upon the stories here and just have some more character development. I don't necessarily think there needs to be more plot points put into Sonic Heroes. I think the plot can largely stay the same, but just having more interactions and more character development between the teams would be great to really sell these four teams as people that have these bonds with each other. At number 3, if we're going to expand the stories, then we should also add some more levels to accompany the expanded stories as well. So there's so many different environments that they could tackle, and one of my favorite things about Sonic Heroes is just the levels themselves. I love how expansive they are. I love how the themes are so specific and so just true to their identities. I think Sonic Heroes has some of the best level designs in terms of aesthetics. I think level design in terms of like the actual layouts could be improved a little bit, but the aesthetics, the looks of Sonic Heroes levels have always been one of my favorite things about the game whenever I revisit it. Some things I'd love to see is in a desert zone, for instance, maybe one level exploring the vast oasis and then another level exploring the secrets inside a pyramid. I mean, there's so many different possibilities you could have here. I just think that having some more environments with Sonic Heroes art direction would just be such a treat. At number 4, I would love to see just tighter and more refined controls overall, especially for the speed characters. I know that the speed characters were designed to be super fast and slippery actually, so that you would be forced or at least be encouraged to switch to other characters for better control. But playing the speed characters is by far the funnest part of this game, so I'm not sure why the developers felt the need to add disadvantages to playing the speed characters just to level out the playing field. I mean, flying power characters can still be utilized and they still need to be utilized throughout the levels, but I don't see a huge issue with primarily taking control of the speed characters if it's the funnest way to play the game. So why not make the speed character more balanced and make them more fun to play? That way you can have more fun playing throughout the entire levels, but still having to switch to Tails and Knuckles or whatever the flying and power characters whenever you need to. We should be trying to maximize the fun and not trying to make sure that things are equal. Just because things are equal does not necessarily mean that the game is fun. Also, it would be nice to kind of iron out all the different glitches that happen, all the different collision issues and all that. It would just be nice to have a cleaner, more refined game to play with. At number 5, I'd love to see an improved multiplayer mode with Sonic Heroes. I want to take a look back at Sonic Adventure 2 Battles multiplayer mode, as that was just so much fun because of how competitive it could get. There was just something about how much more restricted the levels were that really increased the competitive edge of these levels, but Heroes just does not have that same feel. And I think that even though gameplay is a factor in that, there's also other ways of having more levels that are a little bit more restrained, and perhaps more ways to make it competitive could be good, such as more ways to slow down your opponents beyond using Team Blasts. They could get creative using items, setting up traps. I don't know, there's just so many ways. Like, what do they do in like kart racing games to make it more competitive? Try to employ some of those elements into the multiplayer mode. At number 6, I would love the ability to choose the music that I play for each level. This is such a simple addition that I'm sure could be added in like really quick time, but this was one of my favorite things to do in Sonic Generations, was selecting a tune before going into a level and just having some of these weird combinations as I'm playing them. You know, it just adds some more replayability to the game. For example, I love to battle the Egg Emperor to the tunes of Casino Park because that just makes sense, you know? But yeah, it's a simple yet awesome feature, especially given how amazing Sonic Heroes soundtrack is. At number 7, I would love Team Super Sonic to be playable in levels. This should be something that's also relatively easy to implement. To be honest, I'm still kind of confused as to why they took this feature out when they transitioned Sonic to 3D initially. I mean, it was one of the best things about the classic games, and the 3D games were definitely missing that. When it returned in Sonic Colors, it was a very welcome addition and everyone loved it, and so so it makes you think as to why it was taken out in the first place. I mean, sure, it makes the levels like really easy, but I mean, who cares? You've gotten to the end of the game. You earned this. You earned Super Sonic. You earned the right to just blast through these levels at insanely high speeds with invincibility. I mean, it's just a fun time. At number 8, we need a Chao Garden in Sonic Heroes. You have 12 characters at your disposal here. There's such wasted potential not having a Chao Garden be a part of this game and being able to raise these Chao with any of your favorite characters. They would have to make a new engine just to be able to control the characters by themselves, because I think it'd be a little bit awkward controlling the teams when you're taking care of the Chao, but that's just why there'll be so much variety in terms of what you could do. And there's also lots of robots to destroy in all the levels, so lots of chaos drives you could get, lots of animals, and just really fun ways of raising Chao and just increasing the game's replayability. I think the Chao Garden in general is just something that needs to be brought back, but I especially can see it working well in Heroes just because there's so many robots you battle. There's just so many ways of collecting the skills you need for your Chao. At number 9, I would love to see time trial leaderboards be implemented into the game. And so leaderboards are such an easy thing to increase replayability in Sonic games. I mean, it's all about going fast, right? And so having incentive to continue to improve your times in these levels would be great, and an online leaderboard is a great way to do that. You could even have a feature where you can race against ghosts. You know, you can download them from online and then be able to race against them in your levels. And yet again, this increases more reasons as to why you need to keep playing Sonic Heroes, and it's just a great addition for any Sonic game in general. At number 10, my final idea for a Sonic Heroes remake would be a create your own team feature. This is something that I used to play around with all the time as a kid with the Sonic Heroes memory editor. I don't know if you all remember that, but it was this really cool thing where you got to change so many different things about the game, such as the size of the team members, whether or not you had a HUD, you could have infinite rings, infinite team blasts, and etc. But you could also switch out the team members and make your own custom teams. I mean, wouldn't it be cool to have a team of Sonic, Rouge, and Big? Okay, maybe not, but the ability to even do that would be pretty cool. I think this was such a missed opportunity in the original game, and it would have been such a cool like final thing you could unlock by collecting all the emblems or like getting A-rings in all the missions. I mean, there's just so many like things you could do to make Heroes a much more worthwhile experience, and I think this would have just been such a cool feature to implement into it. I know it just seems a little bit more like a hack kind of thing rather than like a game feature kind of thing, but it's fun, so why not make it a game feature and just make it even easier for players to do it. And that's basically everything that I thought about in terms of what I would love to see in a Sonic Heroes remake. I don't know how realistic a Sonic Heroes remake would be. I could imagine them at least porting it or remastering it for modern consoles, because I think as the time goes on, you know, there will come a time where it becomes necessary to port these games over, because otherwise they're just going to be lost forever and there's no way to play them otherwise. And so we already got all these different like classic Genesis games and Game Gear games ported over to modern consoles already. I just think it's a matter of time before we see those Dreamcast games and those GameCube games see the same treatment as well. And Sonic Heroes definitely has a high chance just because it was received relatively well, and so it's not exactly a stain on Sonic's legacy, except to a few people, I think. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Would you want to see a Sonic Heroes remake? Let me know why or why not, and also let me know what you would like to see in the remake itself. Do you want it to be more of a one-to-one remake, or do you want to see changes like I've been listing here? Let me know why or why not, and I'd be interested in hearing your thoughts. But alright, that's pretty much everything, and yeah, thank you all so much. 2021 has been pretty solid so far, so let's keep it going. This is Riders, riding out. Thank you so much for watching this video. Special shout out to the Nerd Corner, Killer Lemurs, Team Ride with Sonic Gamers, Johnny Hinton Ortiz, Doomslayer, Jeremy Games, Amarillo66, Trash Q, Abraham Muter, and Mass Muter. These are my patrons / YouTube members. If you'd like to become a patron or YouTube member, get access to a whole bunch of different perks, and please check out the links in the description box below. But alright, this is Riders, riding out.